Hello. Um, Today's video, uh, is going to be going over, the 5 health-related fitness components. I've been sick, so if I seem a little off, it is what it is. It's a chronic illness flare-up, so, and along with the 5 health fitness components, I'll also be giving examples of exercises. These are exercises that I do, or I feel like somebody with a chronic illness would have an easier time doing. So yeah. Also, I'm tired, so if I'm speaking a little slow, that's why. And I have my notes on my phone, so I'll be looking off camera a little bit. Okay. So the first one is body composition. And body composition is the body's relative amounts of fat-free muscle or fat-free mass versus fat mass. So it's basically like the overall amount of like body weight that you have and what parts of the body weight are because of like excess fat versus, other things like your actual skeleton and your organs and stuff. I hope that makes sense. So essential fat is the minimum amount of fat that's necessary for your body to be able to do normal physiological functions. So, you can be overweight, that's a thing, but that's also why being severely underweight can also be an issue because your body doesn't have enough fat to do those normal functions that it needs to. So subcutaneous fat is basically known as surface fat, while visceral fat is deeper and can surround the organs, which is why being overweight can cause so many health issues along with the other things like the joint pain and all that, but it can start to affect your organs because the fat does start to like surround your organs and it can affect stuff like that. Okay, so the body mass index or BMI is basically a way to measure body composition in a sense, but it's not great. And I'll go into that, but it basically measures how much body weight. It's basically tells you your body weight adjusted for your height. However, it's not great because it doesn't go into if that weight is because of excess fat or because of muscle. So, like a bodybuilder would have a higher BMI. So just going off the BMI, he would be overweight. However, they would be overweight. However, because it doesn't show that it's actual muscle weight instead of excess fat weight, it doesn't really tell you that type of stuff. So it's not a great indicator, but we still use it a lot for whatever reason. Okay. A way to improve body composition is regular physical activity, cardio, and endurance exercises. strength training, and having improving your caloric intake. So a caloric deficit, because energy in, energy out. And if you're not using all that energy that you're taking in, that gets stored in the body and can cause you to gain weight or not lose it like you're trying to. So yeah. And obviously you can't really see from this video, but I am overweight. There is no way to sugarcoat it, but with chronic illness, there is the difficulty of being able to be physically active as much as I'd like to be. To give you an idea, the past 2 months, I have been incredibly sick with a flare-up from a condition that I have that falls under the category of dysautonomia, which is basically where the autonomic functions in the body just say, screw you, we're not doing what we're supposed to anymore. And it basically affects everything from your heart to the circulatory system to your digestive system. It can cause issues with chronic pain. I've been having issues with my forget what it's called. It's the system, basically the bladder, and like the kidney function. I've been having issues with that. And I've been having an increased sensitivity to chronic pain and all that jazz. So and on top of that, it ended up getting sick because I went to the ER and probably caught something from there. Chronic illnesses, you have flare-ups on and off, and it can be triggered by things like stress and environmental factors, and even just getting sick can cause a flare-up. So been dealing with that, and I've been more recently diagnosed, so I'm also currently dealing with going to different specialists to get on the right treatment plan and the right medications to help with the issues. So but I say all that because when you have a chronic illness, especially something like dysautonomia, where your body is basically refusing to function like a normal average person's body does, you do have issues. So I would love to be the type of person who could go to the gym, work out several hours every day. I honestly at one point had dreams of doing heavy lifting and doing the deadlifts and stuff, but that is currently not within the realm of possibility for me, because my body is basically doing the bare minimum of what it can do. So and certain exercises, which is what I'll be going over, the exercises that I can do, because exercise, if you're not careful, can exacerbate your symptoms and can cause you to actually get worse. So yeah, we covered, sorry for the tangent, I just thought I'd give some context. So body composition, also, with the caloric intake, you do need to be a little careful, because for me, back to the automatic functions of the body not working. I don't get hunger cues at appropriate times until I'm have pretty much starved myself or am suffering from hypoglycemia because I haven't been eating. It's sometimes not a issue of how much you're eating. It can definitely be an issue of what you're eating, though, because if I'm being completely honest, 100%, what I eat is not great, but, sometimes it comes down to convenience and what I can spend my energy that I have available, what I can spend my energy making myself so that I can eat. So there's that. Okay. Again, sorry for the tangent, but thought I would add a little bit of context to all this. Okay, so cardiorespiratory endurance. Back to the actual topic of the video. It's basically the body's ability to perform prolonged large muscle and dynamic exercise at a moderate to high levels of intensity. This involves the heart, the circulatory system, and the respiratory system. I put on here that common exercises for this are running or walking, but I can't run. My heart rate goes way too funky for that. Even walking can set it off. Because the condition that I have is inappropriate sinus tachycardia, which falls under the category of dysautonomia. And so basically, it's where my heart rate will suddenly spike for whatever reason. It doesn't really matter. So I have had to make lifestyle changes, and I am on a medication for that, but it's currently acting up with the other dysautonomia symptoms, so I will be having to change that to a different medication to help with the other symptoms. But so lifestyle changes like severely limiting the caffeine intake, and trying to reduce stress, making sure I'm hydrated, stuff like that. But yeah, so can't do running, but I can do walking. If you're like me, sometimes you are good to just walk outside and do whatever. However, sometimes I need something to keep myself busy while I'm walking. So an audiobook sometimes helps. Or apps like Pokemon Go have helped encourage me to walk. So I'll just go to my local park and I'll do like a lap or two around the park. And it's good because there are places to sit. So when my heart rate starts getting a little too high and I start feeling a little dizzy, I can sit down and then let it go back to normal. Then I can finish walking. Okay. Flexibility. That's the ability of your joints to move through their normal range of motion. Flexibility can reduce the risk of exercise-related injury and reduce things like back pain. Static flexibility measures the limit of a joint's overall range of motion, while dynamic flexibility measures overall stiffness of a joint during movement. Simple daily stretching and things like yoga are good ways to improve flexibility. I did want to mention hypermobility because sometimes people think that just because you're flexible means that you're all clear. However, if you have hypermobility or connective tissue disorders, your natural range of motion is going to be more than what is normal or average for like most people. So if you do have hypermobility, you do need to be careful when doing things like yoga or stretching, because even though your body and your joints can do that extended range of motion, um, you can still injure yourself and make things worse if you're like going overboard with like doing your full range of motion, like just because your joints can, pop out of place doesn't mean you should be doing that all the time, so and it's like just because your joints can do a thing does not mean that they should be doing that. So if you do have hypermobility, I recommend, either looking up like the proper range of motion for your joints so that you know to what point you should be extending them so that you don't go overboard, or like look up specific stretches or exercises like yoga routines that are made specifically for people with hypermobility, because that might help make sure that you don't injure yourself while trying to improve your flexibility. Muscular strength is the capacity of the muscles to exert force with a single maximum effort. This kind of falls into the same group as muscular endurance, but I'll cover that after this one. So there are 3 types of muscles. There's skeletal muscle, which helps with movement. There's a cardiac muscle, which helps with the contractions of the heart, so it keeps your heart moving. And then there's smooth muscle, which helps with like bodily functions, so like the movement of food through the digestive tract. There are muscles that help your pupils dilate, so like pupillary changes, and enlargement or contraction of blood vessels. So weight training helps improve muscular strength in a way to kind of not mix muscular strength and muscular endurance up. Is muscular strength, imagine a deadlift, right? Where usually they do a one lift at their maximum weight that they can possibly lift, and then they're done. And then muscular endurance is like those chin up challenges where you see how long you can hold a chin up for, or like hold your body weight up for. They sometimes have them at carnivals or whatever. So like muscular strength is like the maximum amount of weight that you can do, and muscular endurance is how long you can do the exercise for, if that makes any sense. That's how I at least keep them from not getting mixed up in my brain. So yeah, weight training helps improve muscular strength. I don't know if I said that already. So muscular endurance, I kind of just mentioned that and the 2 differences. It's the capacity of the muscles to exert force repeatedly over a period of time while resisting fatigue. Exercises to improve muscular endurance are things like planks, crunches, and push-ups. Remember the difference between the 2 muscular categories. That's all the notes I have for this video. But I guess the only other thing that I would have to say is like it does vary from person to person. Sorry, I'm fiddling with my pop socket if you hear anything. It does vary from person to person. And I think that we as people tend to sometimes compare ourselves to other people, when it comes to like how much we can lift, how far we can run, what we can do related to physical activity. But I think, people who are in the same boat as me, if you have like a chronic illness or something that is, keeping you from doing the like same type of physical activity that you see like some of these fitness influencers doing, like they're going to the gym sometimes multiple times a day, and like they're doing these really intense workouts and stuff, and so it's sometimes hard not to compare yourself to that, and there's like a level of shame that goes along with it. But I think at the end of the day, we just need to remember that everybody's body is different, and some of us are just in a different area of what our maximum amount of effort is going to look like, or like what our heaviest weight lifted is going to look like, I don't know if that makes any sense, but I'm, tired. At this point, I'm just going on a tangent, so I'll end this video here. Hopefully this all made sense. So, yeah.